Nobody wants to get united. Like, what we gotta do is meet everybody on 149th Street at the bench.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we're gonna be taking a look at your guys' artwork because, once again, we're critiquing your guys' artwork. If you want to get in on this, you can do that by using the hashtag ABCrit over on Instagram. So now I want to take a second in order to teach you guys a little bit about doing 3D graffiti and kind of the prerequisite knowledge you'll need in order to be able to do it properly. And it's supposed to be Kovar, but there's a few issues with this. There's a couple of form issues as well as letter structure issues. Let's tackle the letter structure issues first. You have the back of the K comes out, up, and back in. This right here technically makes it an R. Because this is 3D graffiti, this top piece and the bottom piece don't actually have to connect, but instead they're allowed to overlap in order for this to be an R. Because as you can see, the structure is still made. The structure is still consistent. This doesn't look very different than, say, this over here. This is why not only in just regular graffiti, but as well as 3D graffiti, you do not bring the K back up to the top and connect, or in this case, overlap it. So he does something on the K and the R where he's got it coming out this way and then back in. And the issue with this is he's not using enough values in order to be able to pull this off. You see, you have to understand when you're doing 3D graffiti, you have to not only be able to understand graffiti's fundamentals to a high extent, but you also have to understand fine arts fundamentals to a very high extent as well. There's a ton of prerequisite knowledge you need in order to be able to pull off a three-dimensional piece. With this, that's not happening, because not only do the forms not connect properly here with the K to this leg, but there's not enough values for that to happen. You see, line is a compensator for value, and what does that mean? That means when you lack enough values, as we can see right here, you'll use lines, as you can see right here, in order to define the things your values couldn't. And you see with this back piece and this piece right here are both the same value, and they shouldn't because they're two different three-dimensional objects in two different orientations in space, and as a result, they'd receive different lighting as a result. So I bet you if we took a look at more of his work, we would see a lot of form issues, a lot of letter structure issues, as well as other graffiti fundamentals, a lot of shadow issues, and just element of art issues in general. So we can see here letter and name weight, letter and name positioning, and negative space management, as well as letter structure becomes an issue here, with, once again, the K coming back in on itself, becoming an R instead of a K. Once again, you have more fine art issues, and as we can see, more letter structure issues. So if anyone out there aspires to do 3D graffiti, you have to understand the fundamentals of graffiti first. Once you understand that to a high extent, you can begin to push in the elements of art, which you should also be studying. And once you have a high knowledge of the elements of art, that's when you can start to do three-dimensional graffiti. So the more you understand the things I'm talking about here, the more you can begin to do things like I do, like this, or you can go ahead and do more traditional three-dimensional graffiti like Daim, Peeta, so on and so forth. Now I want to start off with this nude model drawing from Caseeone. I don't want to actually critique the lady. I don't want to critique any of that. Why? Because I know he's well on his way to amazing work. Look at this. This is a beautiful portrait done by Case. He's fine. He doesn't need my help practicing that. All he needs is some practice and time, and he'll be fine with that. What I'd rather focus on is lines. You see how this is a gesture drawing, right? It's meant to capture the gesture, the flow of motion. You want to try to have really loose, really nice, flowing strokes, so that way you can capture the gesture. You want to capture the flow of motion. So what I want you to do is practice how to make nice, clean lines. Get comfortable with your sketching process. You're not going for like hyper-realism here. You don't have to go ahead and pet your lines. And it's okay to be general with your gesture drawings. You don't have to be exact. It's okay to be general. What? Someone not keeping it simple? That's an Avengers level threat. Now, there's something that happens with newer graffiti artists that they tend to do where they tend to block off entire letters. Either they'll overlap one letter on top of another and completely hide the second letter, or they'll do that with an extension. And that's what we have here. Look at how this extension from the A shoots all the way up and blocks the whole lower portion of the H. Not the biggest issue because we can still very much tell it's an H, but notice if you look at the name, you kind of go D-A-H-E. And the reason for that is because you have an extension from the top of the H that comes over and blocks the intersection of the T, which is never good. Every single letter has an important key part of its letter structure, and if you get rid of that, either by distorting the structure or blocking it, you've destroyed your letter structure. And that spot right there, that's the important spot for the T. So if you block that, your T is going to completely fall apart, and that's what we see happen here. Anyway guys, that's where we end today's video. If you want to be a part of the community critiques, be sure to submit by using the hashtag ABCrit over on Instagram. I also get back to pretty much every single comment. So let's talk about the artwork in here. What do you guys think about it? And what are some questions you have about art and graffiti? For those of you guys who are new here, we come out with weekly art content, typically revolving around graffiti. So if you like that, feel free to subscribe. We got the most credible information about graffiti you can possibly find anywhere. And if you like more of this fine art stuff, we paint this over on Twitch 5 days a week. We do digital art, we do traditional, and we even play video games. So follow me on all the social media. I got all the stuff in the description. And if you guys don't mind, let's see if we can get this video to 300 likes. Anyway, I'll catch you beautiful people in the next one, but until then, peace.